Mike Esposito, a history teacher at Niagara Falls High School. Thanks very much for coming on the program tonight.
Thank you.
Now, later this week, you're going to be taking a group of students with the club Increase the Peace to Albany, right?
Yes, sir.
And what are you going to be doing there?
Well, in Albany, we're leaving Wednesday morning, 3 o'clock in the morning. We got about 42 kids going, and we're gonna do two things. Actually, we're focusing on two things. My group, Increase the Peace. The one thing we're going to focus on is ignition interlock. We have a few. We're meeting with a few state legislatures about ignition interlock, and we want to the legislature to pass some ignition interlock laws for New York State. And the second thing, some of your listeners might be curious about, is we're going to lobby for some gun control legislation. We have meetings with 3 state legislatures, and we're going to try to get them to pass 3 bills regarding gun control.
All right. What 3 bills are you talking about, Mike?
Well, first of all, let me just say this. I try to, for my U.S. history students, I try to give them both sides of the whole gun control debate. A lot of my students are anti-gun control. A lot of my students are pro-gun control, and actually the majority of them, are gun control. But the 3 bills that we would like to see passed is the microstamping bill. This is the microstamping technology. I'm sure a lot of your listeners are familiar with this bill. The microstamping technology will be able to laser print the shell casings, which will be easier to trace to the gun, and then of course the gun owner. And the second bill is called the Gun Dealer Responsibility Bill. I don't know if you know this, but 1% of the gun dealers in this country sell guns to 60% of the of crime guns that end up in criminal activity. And I think this Gun Dealer Responsibility Bill might try to, I think it will limit some of the guns used in crimes. And what it does is it makes the gun dealers more responsible. Now, what a lot of gun dealers do, the shady, corrupt, and there are a lot of legitimate gun dealers out, but there's a lot of corrupt ones too. And what they do, they'll buy 500 guns, they'll sell 250 of them. They'll say, well, 250 got stolen. And what ends up happening is 250 guns didn't get stolen. They would sell them to felons, and then the felons would commit the illegal acts. So this will make them keep better records, more stringent records, and it'll actually be a felony. The second time they get caught not keeping good records or having straw purchases, they could get charged with a felony. And the third one is the employee background check. Gun dealers have an employee background check. As you know, the person buying the firearm has a background check, but the employees do not. So it's kind of like, putting the fox in charge of the hen house. So we think these are all hopefully limit the amount of violence.
All right, so let me ask Mike, what kind of opposition research, I guess, have you done into these bills? It sounds like you are familiar with one of the arguments, or at least the argument in favor of these bills. But what kind of research have you and the students done to look at reasons why people are opposing these pieces of legislation? We
did some research. We heard the argument, well, the microstamping might cost more money. And the argument that, there are already laws on the book regarding this, regarding these matters, which I'm not sure there are. And, the whole argument about the state, well, it's the state's job to check the background of employees, and it's the state's job for the stringent, record keeping of the gun dealers. But we don't think that flies. They just, the states don't have the capacity to do those things.
All right. Well, let's talk about a couple of these individually. The microstamping bill. Have you or your students taken a look at the study that was done by the University of California at Davis regarding microstamping?
There were a couple of studies. I'm not sure the University of Davis one.
That was the one that found, and I'm quoting here from their summary, codes engraved on the face of the firing pin could easily be removed with household tools. The study also said the new technology is feasible but does not work well, the study said. All right, does that ring a bell at all?
I might have came across that. I don't think that was a comprehensive study. I think it'd be very, very, the studies that I've done, it's almost impossible to get rid of those laser imprinted on the shell case.
Well, what you're talking about are two different things. Microstamping actually doesn't laser etch anything on the shell casing. Microstamping deals with etching a unique pattern of numbers on the firing pin of the gun itself. Now, what the thing that you were talking about just a minute ago is the ammunition encoding, but that's a separate piece of legislation. That's a separate technology or idea altogether. So which one is your group going to be lobbying for?
We're going to do the laser printing of the shell casing that'll track the casing back to the gun, and then ultimately the gun owner.
Okay, Mike, I'm sorry, but I think you may still be a little confused because the laser etching that you just talked about, that comes when you buy your ammunition. According to the developer of this idea, when you buy your ammunition from your local sporting goods store, it's already going to have that etching on there, so you couldn't actually trace it back to the individual firearm. I think you're actually, it sounds to me like you're kind of getting the two technologies confused with the microstamping and the bullet serialization, which is, I mean, to be fair, it's easily confused. These things first started popping up a few years ago in California. I think of the same legislative session, the first time the microstamping was introduced, that was also the first year that this bullet serialization was introduced as well. So I can understand that you might be getting the two a little conflated, but are you? I guess I'm a little concerned, Mike, that you guys are going down and you're lobbying for legislation that you don't really know a lot about.
So let me tell you this. So you would be opposed to the microstamping legislation because of one study done by some college students.
College professors, and this was the biggest study to date. I mean, they looked at 6 different Smith & Wesson .40 caliber handguns that were issued to the California Highway Patrol after firing 2,500 rounds. The letters/codes on the face of the firing pins were still legible with some signs of wear, but the barcodes and dot codes around the edge of the pins were badly worn. Tests on other guns, including 22, .380, .40 caliber handguns, 2 semi-automatic rifles, and a pump-action shotgun, showed a wide range of results depending on the weapon, the ammunition used, and the type of code examined. And what the study's author said, they didn't say, this is horrible, it can never be useful. But what it said is there needs to be more research, there needs to be more studying, and there needs to be something that can make sure that this is a more effective technology, because right now it's not. And I'm in favor of legislation that works, that actually does something.
I would bet $1 million if that study said the opposite, said pointed toward gun control, you still wouldn't be in favor of it.
Well, no, I could give you a pragmatic reason as to why, but I mean, how much evidence do you need, Mike?
Well, this is going to, I mean, there's no question it's going to make it easier. I don't understand why the NRA would be against.
Well, first of all, Mike, let's make one thing clear. I don't speak for the NRA any more than you speak for Niagara Falls Public Schools. Okay, I'm the host of Cam and Company. But what I'm saying is here you have researchers who have looked at this issue and have said there needs to be much more work on this. And by the way, even if you somehow find a way to get the firing pin, maybe using ceramic instead of metal, so that it doesn't wear out, you can still, I don't know how much you know about the workings of a firearm, you can still remove that firing pin, file it down in about 20 to 30 seconds, put the firing pin back in, or you can simply swap the firing pin with a firing pin from another firearm and render that technology absolutely useless.
Well, not the research I read. The research I read says this technology is going to work. They said it's on the table. And
what research was this?
There was a study done at I believe, I can't remember the university now, but there's all the research I read, like I said, it points to this technology working.
Okay. Will you look at the study that I just cited?
You know what? Is it Cal Davis?
University of California, Davis.
Okay, you got it. Let me just say this. Our students are not for getting rid of the Second Amendment. I hope you realize that. You know, we had a discussion the other day. Actually, last month, one of my students said, Mystery, I can't go to the field trip. You know, my dad has a gun at home. I'm like, CJ, we're definitely not trying to get rid of guns in America. Second Amendment. I got a gun in my home. My dad has a gun. He's a big NRA person. We're not trying to take away people's right to own weapons. That's ridiculous. We know that's never going to happen. We just want sensible gun laws. That's it. We try to save people's lives. That's all.